Now at 9, as temperatures fall, roads that were dry earlier today could turn dangerous tonight.
Lawmakers share their reflections 1 year after the January 6th riots. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abby. Sun is gone. It's just plain cold outside. Doug Heddy joining us now. Doug.
Yeah, it is cold outside. Most of us are sitting just hovering above 10 degrees. Now, all the snow is out of here, but we still have some side roads that are a little bit on the slick side. So you do got to be careful if you are going to be out, and you got to bundle up as temperatures are very cold. Here goes our snow up the eastern seaboard, so it's long gone. But look at our temps, 10 to about 14, 15 degrees. And then we have a little bit of a wind. So that gives us a little bit lower wind chill. Not much, it's a light wind, but it makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is. I think most of us will hover around 10 or 11 degrees. We get above freezing tomorrow. That's good news. We'll look at our next storm system here in a bit.
Thank you, Doug. There were multiple accidents on the snowy roads earlier today, including this one. Closed a portion of eastbound Interstate 44 down to one lane this morning. A pickup truck pulling a fifth-wheel camper overturned at mile marker 21 near Carthage. Both the Missouri State Highway Patrol and the Carthage Fire Department responded. There were no serious injuries. In Joplin, a number of the main roads cleared out as traffic increased and the sun broke out through the clouds. But that melting combined with dropping temperatures could again make roads hazardous again through the overnight hours.
Be aware of that. If you have to get out, if you don't have to drive, don't drive. But if you find yourself driving, regardless of the category of roads you're on, you could encounter something like that. So I think drive accordingly, slow yourself down, give yourself plenty of time.
Officials with the Joplin Police Department say it's important to make sure if you do have to be out, your cell phone is fully charged and you do have an emergency kit in your vehicle. Conditions much the same across the state line in Kansas. According to candrive.org, the state's road conditions website, most roads in southeast Kansas were back to seasonal conditions. However, officials have the same concerns about roads refreezing. They're continuing to urge drivers to take it slow and safe.
I'd just say for the traveling public, just because it doesn't seem significant doesn't mean it can't be treacherous. So people just really need to slow down out there and take their time and don't crowd the snow plows.
If you are traveling tonight or earlier tomorrow morning, got links to all the road conditions in your area on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Well, community members in Joplin today discussed the future of Memorial Hall. The Memorial Hall Citizens Committee held its second meeting of the year. In today's meeting, they voted on a co-chair for the committee, setting up future meetings to get to the heart of the issues around the building.
It's a wide variety of individuals from our community. You have every aspect that you really would like to see on the committee, and they have a lot of questions, which is what we want, and they're very passionate about Memorial Hall and what Memorial Hall can be.
The committee plans to meet every Thursday at 4 p.m. Next week, they plan to discuss a bond that's going to be put up to voters in April. Police say 2 suspects fired 8 gunshots late Tuesday night in Independence, Kansas. No one was hurt. Police say 2 men are in custody at the Montgomery County Jail, but at last report, authorities had not filed formal charges. There's going to be some more traffic impacts from the 32nd Street widening project in Joplin. Starting Monday, West 32nd Street from Schifferdecker to the entrance of Westbury Square is going to be closed. Detour routes will be posted and property owners will be allowed access at all times. The closure is expected to last until April. It's one of many closures that will happen consecutively on different sections of 32nd Street as the city continues its widening project. It's expected to be wrapped up in summer of 2023. Hundreds of people gathered at the Capitol Plaza Hotel in Jefferson City this morning for the governor's annual prayer breakfast. Breakfast is an interfaith event held every year at the beginning of the legislative session. Governor Parsons spoke at the event and encouraged lawmakers to follow their faith during the session.
And I get to think of all the challenges that we have in this country and this state today. You just got to go right back to where we were. Go back to your faith. Go back to true leadership and follow the path.
Featured speaker at the event was the Reverend John Modest Miles, pastor at Morning Star Baptist Church in Kansas City. Ticket sales support the governor's Student Leadership Forum on Faith and Values, which funds a 3-day study for a group of Missouri college juniors. Solemn day in D.C. as lawmakers reflect on the January 6th riot at the Capitol 1 year later. President Biden speaking earlier about the attack, blaming former President Trump, accusing him of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Fox's Caroline Shively has reaction from D.C.
In his remarks, President Biden said the rioters had held a dagger at the throat of democracy but failed to succeed.
I ask all members to rise for a moment of silence in their memory.
A somber day on Capitol Hill as lawmakers remember the events of the January 6th riot 1 year ago today, when a mob of Trump supporters made their way into the building, attacking police officers, breaking windows, and vandalizing offices. For many of those present that day, the attack still haunts them.
January 6th is not over. January 6th is not behind us.
To mark the anniversary, President Biden spoke from Statuary Hall, where rioters had laid siege. The president condemned the assault and placed blame on his predecessor, former President Trump.
For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power.
Trump slammed the speech, arguing it's political theater and a distraction. Republican leaders have largely condemned the violence that occurred last year, but many of them argue Democrats have overly politicized the tragic event.
It was a tough day for everybody. Again, that was my first day on the Senate floor, and it's gotten better from that point.
Hundreds of people across the country have been charged in the attack. More than 150 have pled guilty. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Dane Bell has served in the U.S. Marines, stationed in Iraq, earning several awards. And we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Dane Bell, a native of Joplin. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Joplin Eagles hitting the floor in the first round of the Kaminsky Classic. Gonna have the highlights in sports.
Definitely a nasty day for us today. Super cold. We had a little bit of snow, some slick roads during the morning hours, and we still need to watch out tonight. Most of the main roads are fine, but some of the side roads, neighborhood roads, a little bit of refreezing. So there are some slick spots across the region, so you do want to be careful for that. About an inch of snow officially in Joplin, 1 to 2 inches across the region, a little bit less in our southern counties. For the season, we're at a whopping 1.5 inches. We're in a snow drought, pretty much. We averaged 12, which it used to be 16, but over the past couple decades, snow amounts are going down. So we got a long ways to go just to get to average. And it looks like, at least for us, over the next week or so, we don't have to worry about any snow. We do have to worry about the cold for us out there tonight. Look at our temps. Most of us 10 to 12 to 14 to 15 degrees. Thankfully, the winds are dying down a little bit, so our wind chill factors aren't as low, but they're still kind of down there. We have north wind at about 5 to 7 miles per hour, which makes it feel to your skin a little bit colder than what it actually is. So if you are going to be out tonight into the morning hours, make sure you bundle up. All right, we still have the clouds out there. Here are the bands of snow that rolled through late last night into the morning hours. Everybody in our viewing area at least got some snow, half an inch, upwards to 2 inches, kind of the heaviest kind of stripe from Chanute, Pittsburgh, Lamar, and then over toward Mount Vernon earlier today. But this storm system's racing off toward the east, up the eastern seaboard. So it's gone. If we go out to the west, here's our jet stream. It's lifting back north. So it's going to take that Arctic air with it as we go through the next several days, which is good news. At least we're going to start to warm up a bit. All right, wind chill factors tonight, 0 to about 5 degrees, but these will moderate as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, which is great. Thankfully, we're going to warm up just a little bit. We're still going to have some clouds kind of sticking around throughout the overnight hours. Most of us kind of hold steady from this point on. And as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow, we start to get a southerly wind, so upper 20s by the noon hour. I think most of us will top out into the mid-30s, which means we're going to get above freezing and melt off anything that is still out there. 11 to start, 33 by noon, high temp right around 37 degrees. Clouds increase again for us tomorrow night. Our next little storm system is going to work in. We may get a couple little patches of sleet by Saturday morning. Very light, not a big deal as temperatures continue to warm through the day. So we'll get into the 40s, but showers really start to develop, especially in the afternoon hours. We'll have on and off showers, so just kind of a wet day, but at least we're above freezing. Showers continue Saturday night into Sunday morning. May even get a few flakes of snow mixed in, but this is mainly a rain event as we go into the weekend. 37 tomorrow, 48 Saturday, 41 Sunday, morning showers, and then temperatures not that bad most of next week. 48, 53, 56, 52 with some rain chances by Thursday.
At least, it was so cold, it made the snow crunchy,
Yeah, that's true.
Not slushy.
Yeah, it was a very dry snow, very powdery.
Yeah,
So.
see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. Travel trouble continuing for thousands around the country, and forecasted winter storms may only make things worse. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stiegel has more now from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
Travel troubles across the country just not letting up. For nearly 2 weeks now, airlines have been plagued by staffing shortages due to COVID-19 and also winter weather conditions. All of this started during the Christmas holiday, with nearly 20,000 flights canceled nationwide since Christmas Eve.
We actually have no idea how long we're going to be here for, but right now our flight, yes, it was canceled.
While still high, the number of flight cancellation travelers are seeing is on the decline. On Monday, more than 3,000 flights were grounded. By Wednesday, that number had dropped to about 1,700. But now, as another storm makes its way across the Midwest, airports are preparing to battle yet another round of snow and ice.
It's just an unthinkable situation.
Meantime, the CDC is warning against cruise travel, regardless of vaccination status. This is due to the surge of COVID cases in the country fueled by the Omicron variant. However, some passengers are still taking the chance.
I'm sure there are some people who are still worried, but you just have to make your decision for you and your family.
This as the Norwegian Pearl cruise liner cut a 7-day cruise short due to staff members testing positive for the virus.
We took a chance. We threw the dice. We didn't win, but we did have a nice 3 days at sea.
Airlines urging travelers to build in extra time. Also, check with your carrier before you head to the airport. That's the latest from DFW International. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to hear more from officials here. Omicron not slowing down.
New COVID cases surge while public health officials downplay concerns over another variant. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
COVID-19 pandemic is negatively impacting the mental health of young cancer patients. A study published in Psycho-Oncology found cancer patients, in particular between the ages of 15 and 39, were 85% more likely to experience high psychological distress than before the pandemic. Doctors say social isolation and impaired cancer care due to the pandemic are likely to blame. U.S. imposing new COVID-19 restrictions on military bases. U.S. forces Japan says all personnel have to wear face masks while off base, this regardless of vaccination status. COVID-19 tests are going to also be required before arrival, upon arrival, and while in Japan. This decision comes after local governments criticized the U.S. military for failing to contain the spread of the virus at military bases. Japan has seen a rise in COVID-19 cases lately, particularly in Okinawa. The Omicron variant continues to fuel a nationwide surge of COVID infections. Public health officials monitoring another variant, but say so far it's not a threat. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more.
The U.S. averaged more than 490,000 new COVID infections per day over the last week. That's up about 98% from the previous week, but medical experts warn because of asymptomatic cases and limited access to testing, the real number of infections could be much higher.
People are spending more time indoors, and that further enables the virus to move from person to person.
New Hampshire Dr. Edward Marins adds the peak of this surge may be several weeks away, but it's already strained some hospital resources for non-COVID patients.
Patients stay so long in the hospital that at some point they stop testing positive for COVID, but still need hospitalization.
Public health officials stress boosters can offer substantial protection against the Omicron variant, but CDC data show only about 35% of fully vaccinated Americans have received a booster since mid-August, when the shots were first authorized. Despite lower demand, the agency says it has no plans to change the definition of fully vaccinated to include boosters. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization is downplaying concerns over a new COVID strain identified in France. At least one case was detected in the U.S., but both the CDC and WHO say it is not a variant of concern.
This variant does have a large number of mutations. Our understanding, it's not very well circulating.
WHO officials say they're monitoring the new variant, but so far it has not proven to be a threat. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
U.S. Postal Service requesting a temporary waiver from President Biden's vaccine mandate. Deputy Postmaster General Douglas Tulino sending a letter to OSHA expressing his concerns over the impact of the mandate on staffing. The mandate takes effect on January 10th, but the post office wants a temporary waiver to extend the mandate deadline for 120 days and remain suspended until courts decide on the legality of the vaccine requirement. All right, next, an awesome story, unbelievable story, how a man used a map drawn from memory and social media to find the family he was kidnapped from. Fresca, becoming an adult beverage. Wine, spirits, and cannabis company Constellation Brand says it's working with Fresca's parent company, Coca-Cola, to create a Fresca alcohol drink. It's going to be called Fresca Mixed. We'll launch this year. Fresca has been around now for more than 60 years. It's getting buzz as a mixer because it's 0 calorie and has no sugar. At 4 years old, a child was stolen from his parents, sold to another family. But he never lost his determination to find his way back home. Fox News' Rob Dawson has more on this miraculous family reunion.
According to the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, more than 1 million kids are reported missing every year. This is the remarkable story of one of them.
Hello everyone, I'm looking for my family.
Li Jingwei was only 4 years old when he was abducted from his home in southwestern China and sold to a new family in a different province. Being so young, Jingwei says he couldn't remember his birth name, the name of his parents, or where he came from. Determined to find his way back home, Jingwei painstakingly drew a map of the few buildings, paths, and hills he could remember from his town. He did this every day from the age of 4 till he was 13, so he wouldn't forget.
It is the only clue that I had to find my home in the future.
Now, more than 30 years after his abduction, Jingwei posted his map to a Chinese social media site last month, along with a plea to the internet to help him find his family. And what can only be described as a miracle, police got a hold of the map and were able to identify the exact village he came from and used DNA samples to track down his family. Emotions running high on New Year's Day as Jingwei was finally reunited with his mother and 2 siblings after decades apart. His father had unfortunately passed away, but Jingwei had this to say to him.
I will take good care of my mom.
Jingwei is now a father himself and plans to visit his dad's grave with his family during Chinese Lunar New Year so they can all be together. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Wow, right? Wow. All right, when we come back, going to check out 2 new dog breeds. Let's talk some dogs, huh? No matter what language you use to tell your dog to sit, she knows you're talking to her. That's the finding of a new study involving language and dogs. Hungarian researchers used MRI technology to scan the brain activity of 18 dogs. When a voice read to them in a language they had heard before, one they hadn't heard, and one in gibberish, blah, 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 blah. Those brain scans showed different parts of the brain lit up when the dogs were spoken to in a language they knew versus one they had never heard. They also showed the dogs could tell the difference between words they haven't heard and meaningless gibberish. Squirrel. Sorry, it was an Up movie reference. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, the American Kennel Club announcing 2 newly recognized breeds. First up is the Moody, an adorable, interesting-looking herding dog with its origins dating back to Hungary. Experts say this medium-sized pup is perfect for energetic and playful families with room for their new member to join. Next up is Russian Toy. These little dogs are described as fragile but athletic and loyal. Russian toys are not recommended for families with small children or big dogs. That last sentence referencing the Russian toy dogs, not, Russian toys. For some reason, I just felt the need to explain that. 2 new dog breeds. There you have it. 30 more minutes news, weather, and sports coming your way. Going to tell you about some job openings in Joplin and Carthage. Plus, members of the Imagine Pittsburgh committee meeting with the public to discuss the future of Pittsburgh. Over time, haircuts can get pretty expensive, right? Cost prohibitive for some folks. Well, the owner of a new Fort Scott, Kansas salon recognized that issue and is doing something about it. The Uppercut Salon, which opened back in November, offers $10 haircuts every Tuesday. Not only that, but veterans, first responders can get a $10 cut any day. Now, the owner tells us she faced some struggles with drug addiction, and having experienced that, just wanted to give back.
Really, I just want this to be kind of like a family place. I like the one-room setting. I like the one-on-one with people.
Uppercut Salon is located at 408 Jefferson Street in Fort Scott. As more people are without jobs, businesses are seeking employees. That includes Ajinomoto Foods in Joplin and Carthage. The frozen food manufacturer today hosted a job fair at Carthage's Memorial Hall. Officials say they're hiring for multiple positions. Ajinomoto currently operates 9 factories here in the U.S., including Carthage and Joplin, and employs a total of 2,800 people. The Imagine Pittsburgh committee gave an update on future plans in the city. The group hosted a town hall to discuss, among other things, a proposed $16 million school bond and the Pitt Can initiative. The goal of the initiative is to highlight the positive things going on in the city, and the hope is to encourage more people to move to Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh has gained a lot of ground in the last few years. It's becoming a desirable place for people to move to, retire, work at, and it's a well-kept secret here that we want the rest of the world to know.
The proposed school bond would fund improvements to Pittsburgh Middle School. Voters are going to decide on it on the 18th. Friendly skies had some not-so-friendly passengers in 2021. According to the FAA, nearly 6,000 people were reported for unruly behavior last year. The vast majority of the incidents were over masks. Since early last year, the FAA has adopted stricter penalties for passengers, including fines up to $37,000. Tennis superstar Novak Djokovic facing a match on a very different type of court as he waits for an Australian judge to determine if he can be granted entry into the country to participate in the Australian Open later this month. Fox News national correspondent William Lajeunesse has these details.
No love for Novak Djokovic. The tennis superstar locked in a legal dispute over his COVID-19 vaccine status and awaiting a ruling from an Australian court on whether or not he'll be allowed to defend his title in the Australian Open later this month. Border officials on Wednesday denied Djokovic's entry and canceled his visa on the grounds that he failed to meet entry requirements. The 20-time Grand Slam winner, a vocal skeptic of vaccines, traveled down under after 2 medical review panels granted an exemption to Australia's very strict vaccine requirements.
Mr. Djokovic has spoken and acted in a way that has done nothing but undermine worldwide confidence in vaccination. Most Australians, when they heard that he'd been given an exemption, really were quite furious in their reactions.
Now his legal team launching an urgent bid to keep him in country. While he's in quarantine and under guard at a Melbourne hotel, fans gathered to defend him.
To come here and to be treated like that and messed around with, it's a joke.
And hundreds more demonstrated outside the Serbian parliament supporting the top men's tennis player. But Australia's Prime Minister says the tennis great failed to provide sufficient proof for the exemption, denying Djokovic's being singled out.
Rules are rules, and there are no special cases.
The tournament starts January 17th. Djokovic is expected to find out if he can compete at his deportation hearing scheduled for Monday. In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
A bit later, ever-changing technology, changing every day seemingly, right? Some of the latest televisions showcased at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Definitely cold for us today, and of course a little bit of snow late last night into the morning hours, which made the roads a little bit on the slick side, but very small storm system. We didn't get much snow out of this, but enough that it did cause some issues on the roadways. About an inch in the Joplin Metro. Some areas approached 2 inches, but most of us about an inch. For the season, 1.5 inches, but well shy of where we should be for the season. We averaged about 12. Now, last year, we got most of that average. We had 19.5. In a couple storms, we had about 14 inches right around Valentine's Day. Of course, it was super cold. So just because we're behind doesn't mean we can't close that gap as we go through the next couple months. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And it's cold. Look at our temps. Most of us 10, 11, 12, 13 degrees. A little bit colder where the snowpack is a little heavier, really from Pittsburgh, Lamar over towards Chanute. And we've had these light northerly winds all evening long. They are fairly light, but any wind at all makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is. So that's why we have wind chill factors kind of in that 5 to 10 mile per hour range. And these will drop off just a hair as we go through the overnight hours. You can see the bands of light snow rolling through during the morning hours. Most of this was out of here late morning, and then just a lot of clouds, a little bit of sunshine at times as we went through the afternoon hours. But this system racing up the eastern seaboard, so heading away from us. And if you look out toward the west, here's the jet stream. All the storm systems, they like to hang out near the jet stream, but it's lifting north, so it's going to take that Arctic air back north where we like it to stay over about the next week or so. Cold tonight, still Arctic air in place, wind chill factors around 5. Most of the overnight hours, at least these start to warm up as we go through the daytime hours for us tomorrow. Actual temperature, we're pretty close to our overnight low. We're going to hold fairly steady all night long, kind of in that 10 to 12 degree range. Look at the winds tomorrow. They start to shift back out of the south. That always helps us warm up. Upper 20s by noon. I think most of us will top out mid 30s during the afternoon, which is cold, but it's better than what we had today. 11 in the morning, 33 by noon. High temp right around 37. South winds at about 5 to 10. Clouds increase late tomorrow night. We'll get a few showers in here as we go into Saturday morning. Temperatures are going to be above freezing. We should go into the 40s, on and off showers as we go through the afternoon hours. So it's going to be a wet day on Saturday. This is going to be light rain. Saturday night, cold front's going to shift in. We get more showers with it. You can see the northerly winds. So this may end with a flake or two of snow by Sunday morning, but in general, this next storm system is 99% rain. 37 tomorrow, 48 Saturday, 41 on Sunday. Temperatures overall not bad most of next week.
Yeah, at least, you know, it's not 18.
Yeah, so that's good.
That is good. That is good. Thank you, Doug. A new report shows nearly 2 million children suffer from asthma every year, caused by NO2. It's a pollutant found in automobile exhaust. Researchers from George Washington University released their findings in a study published in the Lancet Planetary Health. New data compared NO2 levels to new asthma cases in children globally from 2000 to 2019. Although a majority of these cases were found in urban areas, the researchers say the number of asthma cases in those spots fell roughly 4 percentage points during that time span. The researchers recommend cities should improve their air quality management programs, this in order to lessen pollution overall. Coming up in sports, the Kaminsky Classic beginning today at Joplin High School. Also, Pittsburgh wrestling hitting the mat for the first time in 2022 against Columbus. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Well, today is the opening day of the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School. There are 4 first-round games on the schedule today, but tournament host Eagles are on the floor first. Joplin 7-1 coming out of the holiday break, facing the Jeff City Jays in round 1. So in the first, always right. So smooth with the ball. He scores 8 in the first quarter alone. A Whit Hafer two-handed jam here. Eagles up 3 after 1. To the second quarter now, Bruce Wilbert knocked down a couple threes in the quarter. Wilbert gets 12 points today. Joplin up 6 at half. Third quarter now. Look out. Always right. Straight down the lane for the throwdown. He scores a game-high 23. Other end, though, Kevion Pendleton, 3 for Jeff City. The Jays actually lead by 2 going to the fourth. But in the final frame, tie ball game, under 5 to go, Terrence Gibson scores and the foul, 13 points, 10 rebounds today for Gibson. Joplin wins their tournament opener 70-64. Now, after that one, it's Nevada facing Francis Howell. The winner gets Joplin in the semifinals tomorrow. Now, Vikings didn't miss a lot early. Trey Liner hits the 3 from the left wing, then Liner back to work, this time from the corner. He leads Francis Howell with 13 points in this one. Dwight Lomax Jr., other corner. Lomax Jr. also in double figures with 11. Vikings score the first 15 points of the game. The other end, first bucket for Nevada comes from Cade Beshore. Knocks down the 3, but Francis Howell goes on to roll in this one 67-14. Now to the other side of the bracket, Carl Junction on the floor this evening facing William Chrisman. CJ falls 60-42. William Chrisman moves on to face Webb City in the semifinals. Cardinals game, by the way, they're supposed to play Poplar Bluff in the quarterfinals, but that game was canceled. This week is rivalry week for Pitt State and Missouri Southern basketball. The Lions host the Gorillas on Saturday in the first meeting of the season. Now, on the men's side, Southern is 7-4 to start the year, while the Gorillas are 4-10. The Lions have played pretty well lately, winning 5 of their last 6 games. They're going to have to shake some rust off this weekend. Between the holiday break and COVID issues, Saturday's game will be the first game for Southern since December 18th.
We've shortened it. We've done a lot of just individual work on top of that. But at the same time, you know, when we've done our hour and 15 of work, we've really gotten after it and just try to get back into shape with playing. I think they pose a lot of mismatch issues, especially with getting Williams back. He's just so big. Can play out on the perimeter, play inside. He really hurt us at their place last year. We have to make sure we do our part of boxing out and making sure we, just limit them to one shot and not give them extra opportunities.
Well, Southeast Kansas wrestling tonight. Columbus hosting Pittsburgh. We'll start it off at 138 pounds. Big takedown here. Corbin McIntyre finishes it off quickly, 32 seconds in. He gets the fall at that point. Purple Dragons up 27-6. 170 pounds, it's Matt Smith for Pittsburgh. He's 15-0 so far this year. Took a little time tonight, but he does win by pin to stay undefeated. Pittsburgh with a comfortable lead, but Columbus finishes strong. Isaac Sharp at 220. Looks like he's in some trouble, but he turns it around, wins by pin a minute and a half in. Got loud for that one. Crowd loves it then. Last match of the night, it's Jake Eddington. He pins Caden Swank in the first period, but Pittsburgh wins it in the end 55-24. They're now 6-1 in duels this season. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
CES, the Consumer Electronics Show over in Las Vegas, has always been a showcase for the latest in television technology, and that includes larger screens and a TV that doesn't even need a screen. Tanya Buckus has a look.
New televisions are back at CES and in a big way.
How do you sum up what you're seeing in terms of televisions for 2022?
Well, the thing about TVs this year is that they're getting bigger and brighter and actually more expensive.
CNET's David Katzmeyer says that includes this 97-inch LG OLED TV. There's no price tag yet, but a previous 88-inch version sold for $30,000.
The nature of OLED is that it's a self-emissive technology, meaning it needs no backlight like an LCD. So that means movies really pop.
TCL is revealing a 98-inch TV that uses a different QLED technology for around $8,000. The good news, the smaller the screen, the smaller the price tag.
We've seen some OLED TVs, the smaller ones, like 48-inch sizes, down under $1,000, which is very new for that category.
It's really easy. Samsung is changing controls for TVs. Last year, the company introduced a solar-powered remote. This year, there's a new version that can stay charged with Wi-Fi.
They are saying that it can harvest RF waves from like your Wi-Fi router and use those to recharge the battery in your remote.
Samsung is also making TV more portable. The $900 freestyle projector can place entertainment or gaming just about anywhere. LG believes the future of TV viewing could be relaxing in a high-tech recliner with a curved display that rotates. And curved screens could make riding a stationary bike feel more immersive. These are just concepts for now. It's not clear if or when they will actually hit the market.
CES is going to continue tomorrow. It was planned to run into Saturday, but organizers decided to cut it one day short because of COVID. Next, some unique research behind 1883, the prequel to Yellowstone. Paramount Plus series 1883 has proven to be a popular prequel addition to Yellowstone with its before story starring real-life superstar couple Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. We spoke to them about their music to acting careers, as well as their fellow cast members about research to prepare for the project, including cowboy camp. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
What's that for?
Not sure.
The Paramount Plus Yellowstone prequel, 1883, follows the Duttons' journey west from Texas to Montana, seeking a better life. Real-life couple Tim McGraw and Faith Hill play James and Margaret Dutton.
In the middle of a scene, there's little eye gestures that she'll give me, like when she knows that I'm off track a little bit, that she'll give me that look to set me back straight. Just like when we're singing on stage and I'm singing flat on my harmony part, and I'll get that look from her, and I know I better straighten up.
It's a very different kind of performance from their musical day job.
On stage, there's that instant gratification, that instant feedback.
That's why it's so addictive for people when they do it, either in theater or as a singer. There's such an immediate reaction.
Oscar nominee co-star Sam Elliott notes Westerns continue to endure in Hollywood.
There's something about that kind of a classic struggle that's depicted in a lot of Westerns that appeals to a massive audience.
Cast member Isabel May did a lot of research about the time.
I read probably 50 books, and in particular the ones that I gravitated towards were journals from young women that made the same trek.
And the actors picked up a few things from cowboy camp.
I'm a pretty good rider, but I really enjoyed roping.
Driving a wagon, which I cannot believe, which I thought, wow, because it's so hard. It's really hard. Way harder and really dangerous. And very dangerous.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Sam Elliott, the legend. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of polar bears playing in a tub of ice at the Oregon Zoo. Play nicely now. Come on, play nicely. Be safe to us all again tomorrow. See you then.